Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Steel Mint Engage 2.0, a 5-day webinar series where we will cover a range of topics related to the steel industry. Through Engage 2.0, Steel Mint aims to reach out to industry leaders and understand their perspectives on current issues so that our clients have a better understanding on how each sector is likely to pan out in the near future. Your hosts for the webinar this evening are my colleague Nitesh Shukul.
Good evening, everyone.
And I'm Madhumita Mukherjee, editor, Steel Mint. We also take this opportunity to thank our esteemed sponsors for the event, NMDC, JSW Steel, and Tata Steel. The topic of today's webinar is the Indian Steel Pipes and Tubes Market Outlook H1 FY'23. India's total steel consumption is at around 115 million tons. The overall market size for structural steel tubes in India today stands at around 4 to 5 million tons per annum. The Indian steel pipes market is estimated to be around rupees 50,000 to rupees 55,000 crore. In value terms, 50% of the market comprises ERW pipes and 50% stainless steel and saw pipes. In terms of volume, 70% are ERW, while 30% comprise stainless steel and saw pipes. But if you map the global data, this number is at 10%, and the total steel consumption in pipes is around 1,500 to 1,800 metric tons. The structural steel tubes market globally is at around 150 million tons per annum. This figure indicates the potential held by the structural steel tubes market, especially in an emerging economy like India. But without delaying any further, I want to introduce our honored guest for the evening, Mr. Anubhav Gupta, Chief Strategy Officer, APL Apollo Tubes. I welcome you to speak, sir.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Nitesh, and thanks, Madhumita, for having me here. It's a great platform to come and talk about the structural steel tubes, how we see the outlook in the coming quarters, and what all measures and efforts we are putting in to create the market for structural steel tubes at the same time. Because as we all know that steel tubes like 15, 20 years ago, they were just being produced in the round or circular shapes. And the main application used to be water transportation or oil and gas transportation. It was like steps taken by APL Apollo and a few other players where we started producing square and rectangular section. And since then, we have seen that different sizes, different shapes have helped create the market for structural steel tubes in India, and they have started replacing conventional construction products like wood, like aluminium, like steel angles and channels, like RCC concrete, and like long steel products. So without further delay, let's talk about like how we are seeing the market in the coming quarters, and what are the efforts we are putting in. So, which I guess you are able to see the presentation all well.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So just to start with, APL Apollo Tubes, the largest structural steel tube company with 50% market share. We have 4 product categories, 14 brands, 11 plants, 16 patents, more than 2,000 employees, a very strong distribution network with us at the top, then 800 distributors who sell to 50,000 retailers, and then who sell further to 200,000 fabricators, what influencers there, and then the end consumer. We have 1,500 product range of different SKUs. So this would make us by far the largest in terms of the SKU product range. And the current capacity which we have today is 2.6 million tons, which is of course highest in India, and globally we are in top 5. And over the next 3 years, we're going to raise this capacity to 4 million tons. So our 12th plant in Raipur is already underway, and it's going to start production over the next 2 to 3 quarters. Some of the applications inside the typical household where you will find polo products or other structural steel tubes, right at door frame, window frame, fencing, handrails, grills, staircase, main gate, fencing. So you can see the wide application of structural steel tubes. It's all because of the portfolio what we have created in the last few years. Coming to the outlook, so that's what we are doing. Our innovative product range in different shapes, different sizes. So we have categorized our product portfolio into two segments. One is low dia steel tubes. Second is high dia steel tubes. Low dia steel tubes are for low load bearing applications which go inside the household. And high diameter steel tubes are for high load bearing applications, which are used for like heavy structures. So in low dia, what we have done is that all our innovation, what has happened in the last 4-5 years, they are replacing products like steel angles and channels. They are replacing products like wooden structures, and they are replacing products like aluminum profiles. Right, and these are being used again at various applications inside a household for door frames, for window frame, for fencing, for handrails, for staircase, and very light structures, for example, car park shed or a terrace shed, right? And then coming to the heavy structural tubes, this is something new what we have started working on over the last 2-3 years. And we have seen good success here, where the steel construction is replacing the RCC construction and conventional PV market, right? Because tubes are easy to install, tubes are easy to fabricate, right? And as the steel construction is gaining momentum, we are seeing more and more usage of structural steel tube in the steel designs. All right, so these are some of our innovative products in the low load bearing applications like door frame, designer tubes. We have like 3 types of door frame: single door frame, double door frame, 4 door frame, elliptical tubes, handrail tubes, window frame tubes, fencing tubes, reflector tubes, oval shaped tube, unique rectangular tubes of tile shapes, octagon tubes, right, and checker tubes. So that's how we have been able to create the market, and over the next 2-3 years, we are very bullish on these products, right? And we are going to invest heavily into the marketing of these products with our influencers, who are the fabricators here, and we believe this will contribute a lot to the overall structural steel tube market in the coming quarters. Now let's talk about the heavy structural tubes. So this is what our current sizes up to 300 mm diameter square tubes, which is creating the market for heavy construction. So what we have observed talking to various stakeholders in the construction industry is that every contractor today is struggling with 4 things. One is the speed. Second is the quality standard. Third is the high cost, and 4 is the environment. Right. So if you look at the steel construction and for that matter on structural steel tubes, we're able to address all these 4 concerns. Right. Steel is at least 30%, at least 50-60% faster than concrete. Right. Quality you can maintain because everything is prefabricated in the controlled environment. So on site it is just like erection with nut and bolt. So quality standards can be maintained very rigorously. Cost, if you're able to save time, because the interest rates are high in India, so it can bring overall project cost down. right? And environment, the most important factor today for every corporate, every contractor today, because unlike cement, RCC, steel doesn't add dust in the air, so no air pollution, and also it doesn't require groundwater for mixing. So steel construction is all is like mostly water free. So right, and the market is humongous, right? Any structure, whether warehousing, factory sheds, industrial sheds, urban infrastructure, airports, metro stations, group housing projects, whether high-end condominiums or affordable housing projects, and urban real estate, institutional buildings like hospitals, hotels, commercial malls, office towers, schools, campuses, university buildings, anything, right? Any kind of structure you can build using steel. So to create to increase the usage of structural steel tube in the overall construction, what we are educating the influencers here, who are the architects and the structural consultants, is that right now the tube usage is only 10 to 15% in any steel structure, all right, which is mainly truss, joints, column, bracing, or facade structure. These are mainly secondary members, right? The designers, the structural consultants are not using tubes in the primary members, right? So what we are telling them is that, I mean, there are some myths about tubes. The tubes are not available in the large sizes. The size range is limited. The minimum order quantity is very big. The lead time is high and high wastage, right? So these are some of the concerns which the contractors, fabricators have. So we are going and educating them that APL Apollo has worked on all these 6 parameters, and all these concerns will be addressed. Now these are the benefits which tubes offer over a conventional PEB building. It has superior strength, it has better resistance, seismic loading, the speed of the construction is high, the project costs become lower, aesthetically tubes are better, you get better carpet area compared to conventional PEB or RCC, environmental friendly construction solution, and of course recyclability. Now, some of the live projects I want to share with our audience here. So we have 2 projects which are ongoing. One just got finished, and one large project is under construction. So the one which we finished last year was a small 20,000 square foot of oxygen plant shed, which the Delhi government wanted to construct in 15 days time. The lowest bid which they got from any PV contractor was at least 1 month, right? But we told Delhi government that with tubes, your shed could be completed in 15 days, right from the day of the order, from the day of and then manufacturing of tubes in our plant, and then delivery of tubes to the fabricator. Fabricator started processing our tubes, and then he started sending the sections on site. This whole process took like 15 days, and within 15 days, a 15,000 square foot shed was up and ready. Then the next big project what we got from Delhi government was the construction of 7 hospitals in Delhi at various sites, different locations. The total built-up area was around 2.3 million square foot. And total 15,000 ton of steel is 100% tubular design, 100% tubular. And again, the objective of these hospitals was to be constructed within 6 months' time, right? So what we hear in China, they finish a building in 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Why it can't happen in India? So we convinced Delhi government that yes, with tubes, it is possible. And these are fancy hospitals, permanent structures, G+4, G+5. You can see the photographs of these 5 hospitals which are under construction, and that's the schedule, right? Which we submitted to the department, that within 8 weeks you can have the full superstructure ready. and then balance balance 4-5 and balance like 10 weeks you can use for the finishing of the project, right? So put together, like in 6 months, the hospitals could be up and ready. And why they are quick? The reason they are quick is that I mean everything works on simultaneously, right? So we get the order, we start manufacturing tubes, which we have capacity of 5,000 ton of tubes per day, right? Then we provide cut to length sizes to the fabricator. He just needs to get the tube and put the base plates as connectors, right? He would do the paint, necessary paints. Meanwhile, the on the site, the civil foundation work would be completed. He will send the section on site and he will start the erection work, right? So this whole process is how we could finish. We are able to finish the superstructure in 50 days. Now this is on the left side is the live photograph of a project, one of the project in Shalimar Bagh in New Delhi, and this is the 6 weeks erection time, right? So and the right side is how the building will look like, right? So we think that once these projects are ready, it's gonna open a huge market for structural steel tubes, and we will demonstrate that with tubes the construction is easy, construction is fast, construction is quick, and construction is cheaper and environmental friendly. These are some of other designs which are in the process. Like we are designing a 32-story hotel tower in Bangalore, right? Office towers in NCR region, night shelters, industrial sheds, group housing projects. So any kind of structure, we are doing a lot of designing. So with all these efforts, we think that we would be able to create a market for structural steel tubes in a big way. And as Madhumita mentioned, I mean, India is at a very nascent stage as a percentage of usage of structural steel tubes versus total steel consumption. So I welcome all the stakeholders, all our competitors in this field to jointly work and put efforts for the creation of this market. That's it from my side, Steel Main team. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for that insightful presentation, tracing the evolution of the market for structural steel tubes and where the emphasis would be going forward. Before we throw the floor open to questions from our attendees, we have a few queries from our side. First and foremost, Mr. Gupta, considering the evolving opportunities in India's infrastructure sector, where is APL Apollo Tubes placed today, number one? I mean, please tell us about the current situation in India in terms of acceptance and usage of structural pipes and tubes by the infra construction sector. And secondly, what are the main demand driving regions in India?
Right, so let's start from the third point, Madhumita. I mean, see, the demand drivers, like I said, today, if you talk to any contractor, any real estate developer, right, who's into construction, I mean, the four things, I mean, they're bothered about, they're most bothered about. One is the speed, right? Second is the quality. Third is the cost overruns, and fourth is the environment, right? Because the government authorities have become so stringent. Like they have started putting ban on construction, which is called NGT ban in every city, right? So steel construction addresses all these concerns at one point of time, right? Speed, like I said, so average, if you do the maths, in a typical RCC building, it takes 24 days to put one slab, right? Steel is at least like steel can do 8 days. Steel will take 8 days for one slab. So there is a saving of at least 16 days per slab, right? And if it's a 10-story building, 16 days into 10, 160 days, right? So which is almost like 6 months time, right? So if it's an institutional building, you can start the building early. If it's a hotel, you can advance your cash flow 6 months in advance. It's a commercial mall, you can pre-lease your building 6 months in advance, right? So it's like it just boosts the overall IRR of the project by at least 200 bips, right? And for market. Is working to educate these stakeholders. So there are like two ways. One is to a two-way approach. So one is that we have our own set of architects, structural consultants, and PMC companies, right, who are involved in the decision making for any project, right? So we go and pitch this solution one-on-one, right? We have a big team who is working day and night to go and talk about this solution. And second is mass marketing, right? So forums like what we are sitting today, right? In the morning also there was this session which we presented, where we presented this tubular case to the Airport Authority of India, right? And then we also we have a very strong branding team. So we are taking help of Bollywood celebrities to propagate this quick construction, fast construction, environmental friendly construction on TV ads, on magazines, everywhere, right? So I guess it's a process of it's a long process of educating the client, right? At the same time, once these hospital buildings would be ready, right, and even I talk to people in the government, they are very impressed, right, with the way how the 5 sites have come up so far, and probably once those hospitals are ready, people will see from their own eyes that yes, in India also building in 6 months is possible. And then we believe that will spread like wildfire, right? And then we see more and more demand creation, right? And the last point you raised was, Madhumita, was on the acceptance of structural steel tubes in overall steel designs, right? So see, I mean, the steel construction is not new, right? I mean, I've seen Empire State Building in New York City many times, and I wonder that it was built like 100 years ago, right? And it was nothing but a steel structure, right? So they had used long steel products, right? Beams, plates, angles, channels, right? During those days, and today the PV building is same, right? We haven't seen much of changes, right? The evolution has been like very slow, but the tubes are a totally advanced new age technological product, right? Where you just like kind of you can do it like a Lego toy, like a building blocks, right? You can just like vertically erect the building through just content bolts. That's how the hospital buildings are being built, right? And like I said, we are also working on G+30 story kind of structures, right? So just give us like a few months maybe, and then we'll have like more such models which will be there. And yes, I guess, I mean, it'll just like spread like wildfire.
Mr. Gupta, I wanted to ask you about the rising raw material costs and what kind of an impact is that having on your manufacturing?
So Madhumita, I mean, a very relevant point, right? Everyone today, I mean, nickel jumped by like 100% in last 2 trading sessions, right? So very uncertain times for the commodity prices. All right. So I guess see, I mean, this steel tube industry works on very thin margin, right? So if you look at the total industry, the average margin would not be more than 5%. We as industry leaders, obviously, we enjoy better margin because of our cost efficiency, because of our value-added products. But the overall industry works on very thin margin, like 5%. So whatever fluctuation happens or whatever volatility comes in the steel prices, whether plus or minus, it has to be passed on immediately. Otherwise, it is not possible for any steel tube company to keep any fluctuation to their chest, right? They have to pass it on. So this is the structure which is not only in India but globally also has been pretty much well accepted, right? So whatever price increase is going to come, right? It has to be immediately passed it on, right? There is no way a steel tube company can keep to themselves, right? But yes, I mean, if such a sharp increase in commodity prices will take place, it will impact demand in some way, right? And it's not only steel as a construction product. You look at gas. Gas is used for manufacturing of tiles. Tiles is an important building material for any construction of a building, right? You take paints. Paints use a lot of chemicals which are crude derived chemicals, right? So now the crude is at $120, $130 levels. The input prices for paints will also increase. So I guess, I mean, for tubes industry, we will pass it on immediately, but we'll have to evaluate that how the overall demand environment gets impacted, and not only steel, also other building products which are going to get impacted.
To what extent has your cost of production gone up, and to what extent has demand been hit already?
So cost of production, yeah, I mean, see, for us, the raw material is 80% of the value. Raw material is 80%, right? 10% is our conversion cost and 10% is our margin, right? So that's the breakup of 100% value, right? So 80% will go up, say by 5%, 10%. Rest 10%, our conversion cost per ton will remain constant, more or less, and our margin, EBITDA spread per ton will also remain constant, right? So whatever variation will happen in the 80% as a raw material, assuming it goes up by 10%, right? So 8% jump in RM will increase my sales price by say absolute quantum, right? So cost of production should be more or less same, unless until some like consumables like acid, etc. will also increase. We use zinc, we use chrome a bit, right? So yeah, but overall, whatever raw material increase is there, we're gonna pass it on.
Right, sir. So I have a question. So what we understand is that APL Apollo Tubes is focusing on a Kpix increase from the existing 2.6 million tons to 4 million tons by FY'25. So in the medium to short term, what are your Kpix plans, and what is the update on the APL Apollo Tubes upcoming 400-acre plant in Raipur? I mean, when is it likely to commence operations from?
Yeah, Nitesh, we are very excited to talk about this today, right? Because it's our largest greenfield plant. Just imagine that as a company, we have a total capacity of 2.6 million ton, and this single plant with 1.5 million ton is coming in Raipur, right? So it's a very important, our largest so far in terms of size, in terms of the scale, investment, everything, right? So we started investing in this project from year 2020, right, during the COVID time. So we had finished the land acquisition just before the COVID lockdown came in, and after 2-3 months of lockdown, we started appointing contractors. All the plans were finalized. And the total project cost was 800 crores, 8 billion INR, right? And this was all to be funded from internal cash flow. So investment funds, the money was never a problem, right? And it has come up quite well. So we're going to fire our first mill in month of April, and by September, October of this calendar year, we're going to have like full 1.5 million ton up and running, right? And then we'll see as because these are the innovative products like heavy structural tube with sizes up to 500 square diameter, right? Color coated tubes, right? So we have set target to ramp up the production in next 3 years till FY'25. But given the efforts what we are making today to create the market, we believe this is possible. We are very much confident about it.
Okay. So one more question I have, that we also understand that, you plan to achieve a double-digit growth of, INR 5,000 per ton in EBITDA margins by FY'25. So, what are the factors being considered by you, in creating a flexible, procurement strategy to cope up with the current raw material, price?
So like I said, we work on pass-through model, right? Whatever increase, decrease in steel prices, it doesn't impact my EBITDA per ton. EBITDA per ton is the function of my cost, conversion cost, and my selling price, right? Which is based on value addition, etc. So I guess 5,000 per ton, number. In general, so what we give guidance is that 4,500 to 5,500, and that's the base we have created for ourselves, and we are confident that whatever happens, we're gonna remain in this range, 4,500 to 5,000.
So internationally, APL Apollo is already supplying to North America, South America, and the Middle East, as per our understanding. Now,
Yeah.
do you have any plans to explore newer geographies in the short to medium term? And which particular items would you be looking to export in particular?
Yeah. So see, exports has been a very important functionally in our revenue model, right? But what we have observed is that we have to push mainly the value-added products for the international markets, right? Because in the commoditized products, you don't get the pricing, and you have to compete with the cheap Chinese imports, etc. So it doesn't make business sense to go aggressively on the commoditized product in the international markets. So as our portfolio for value-added products is going up every day, so that's what we are pushing in the international markets. Right now, it contributes around 6 to 7% of our total sales volume at a group level. We believe that it has potential to become 10% volume contributor over the next 2 to 3 years. And today we are selling everywhere across the globe, wherever the steel tube consumption is taking place. And we are in process of appointing more distributors, go more aggressive on the network expansion. Whether it's like Europe, Middle East is something like we are very bullish over the next 2 to 3 years. Europe per se, North America we are already selling, South America also we are selling, right? So everywhere. It's just that we are in process of expanding our distribution network globally.
I might as well go to my attendees because I think they're patiently waiting to ask their questions. Now, one gentleman, Prerak Dave, he has not mentioned the company that is representing. He's asking, how is APL Apollo approaching competition from low-cost Patra pipes?
Yeah, so Patra is an important product for the Indian market. Although we don't see Patra product outside India, but in India it plays it plays an important role. So normally, if you see the Patra pipe and the HRC, the primary steel pipe, the price gap used to be like 6,000 to 7,000 per ton, right? But in the last 1.5 years after the global lockdown, steel prices started going up, right, because of the supply chain disruption and China pulling out of the exports. So the primary steel prices started going up, and the Patra prices didn't go at the same extent, at the same pace. So the gap increased from 6,000-7,000 per ton to like 20,000 per ton. So what happens is that the most commoditized application for tubes, which is say, and some fencing on the ground floor, some like grills, etc., doors, gates on the ground floor, where the quality is not required. Right? You can't use Patra pipes for erecting a building. You can't use patra pipe for coated tubes, right? So, and APL Apollo has 20-30% of our portfolio, which is like highly commoditized, right? So that's the category which gets impacted when the pricing gap becomes high. So yes, I mean, if you look at we are a listed company, we have been giving our sales volume on quarterly basis. If you see that the commoditized category, commoditized segment has seen decline in the volume because of this impact. But we know that it's not going to sustain in the long term, right? The capacity, the global capacity for steel, which is going to come over the next 2 to 3 years, so pricing has to come down, right? This gap is not sustainable because otherwise people will stop making long steel products. They'll only make flat steel products, right? So this anomaly had to go away, and it is going away. Now we are back to like pricing gap below 10,000 per ton, right? So I guess that's like dynamics with any business, right? Some pros and cons, but we were not too much worried because our focus was to decommoditize our portfolio, right? So we keep on adding value-added products which don't get impact from patra pricing, right? So yeah, I mean, we have sailed well enough, and now the patra pricing gap is getting low every day. So we are back to our volume.
So we have a question from Mr. Harsh Shah from Reliance General Insurance. So he's asking, what is your exports as a percentage of total sales, and what will be the target going ahead?
Right. So Nitesh, right now it is 6 to 7%, right? And we believe that we could take it to 10% in next 3 years.
He just mentioned it actually. This one gentleman who he hasn't given his name, he wants to know, like, how has demand? Have you seen improvement in demand? Have you seen improvement in demand as expected in Q4? And if I may add, what is the outlook on Q1 new fiscal in terms of demand? What sort of growth in demand do you expect in Q1 of the new fiscal? And what factors would drive that growth?
Yeah, so Q4 is going well, right? Again, we being a listed company, we can't comment too much on our numbers, but Q4 demand is good. Like I said, the pricing gap is reduced, so we have regained our volume, which we lost in 2Q and 3Q of FY'22, right? 4Q we are regaining our volume back. In terms of Q1, I mean, the outlook today looks good, except the fact that the input prices for all building material products are going up. Like I said, tiles, PVC, paints, steel. So how it's going to impact at the macro level, the demand? Difficult to predict today. But if input prices don't go through the roof, then I think India should see good sustainable demand for real estate, for construction, for building material throughout FY'23 and FY'24.
Yeah. Would you like to quantify to what extent would you see demand going up in the near term?
Except the fact I can't comment on like what's going to happen of like high inflation in the building material products. Barring that, I guess, I mean, in any report you read over the last 2-3 months, we talked to a lot of experts, industry participants. We were confident that the building material industry could grow in like low double digits for FY'23 and FY'24. And steel tube, because it has a wide variety of applications, right? New products, new innovation, new plant for Apollo, we would have grown much faster than the building material industry growth.
There's one gentleman, he wants to know, do you export to Bangladesh market? They are a breeding facility company. And this is a question.
Could you please repeat, Madhumita? I'm sorry.
There's one gentleman who's asking you that do you export to Bangladesh? The gentleman is representing a trade facility
facilitating companies. So he wants to know.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can sell to any nation, right? Provided, I mean, we'll have to see because the currency also is playing like the fluctuation in currency in every country is also we have to see. But if it, I mean, if it passes through our risk assessment, risk management, I mean, we are happy. Right now, we haven't sold in Bangladesh, but if it makes a business sense, we will do that.
Right, sir. So there is one question, with regards to, so this gentleman is not, put out his name, but what he's asking is, how are you navigating with the high freight costs? And ocean freights have remained elevated. So, is it impacting your margins, in general?
Yeah, so ocean freight, the exposure what we have is towards our export sales. Right. So I mean, see, like I said, I mean, structural steel tube, any input, any increase or decrease in the input price, you have to pass it on immediately. So the industry works on a lower margin. But yes, I mean, if the input price goes up, that means the realization goes up, and it does impact demand in the short term, right? Because the customer won't pay like any price, right? So I mean then it becomes a question of how sustainable the demand will be based on how the pricing is behaving. So far export sales have been good, right? So to answer the question, so far we haven't seen any impact on the demand yet, but I mean, the situation is very fluid, right? I mean, it's shocking to see one commodity doubling in two sessions, right? Nickel, right? So it's very fluid. Hopefully, things don't go out of control, right? India. After like 2 years of lockdown, we were supposed to have very good growth at macro level in FY'23 and FY'24. So we just hope that it doesn't get derailed because of what's happening globally. But what I can tell is that structural steel tube will outperform any building material product in India, and APL Apollo will try to outperform its own market, right? So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that was the last question we could accommodate for this afternoon. Questions which could not be answered in this session can be resent to us, and we will get these answered later by Mr. Gupta. We have to bring this webinar to a close due to time constraints. Again, a big thank you to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Anubhav Gupta, and to our viewers for joining in. And we do hope you all enjoyed this session as much as we enjoyed presenting it. We would like to extend our gratitude to the Ministry of Steel and the Indian Steel Association for their valuable support. A big thank you to our sponsors, NMDC, JSW Steel, and Tata Steel once again.